Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll for Tuesday, January 25th, 2022. 6 days left in January, as February is knocking on the door, just like the NFL. Actually, championship weekend, I guess we call that now, as we get another day closer to those two games, which again we will discuss throughout the week. And as everyone on social media and Twitter is still talking about the overtime rules, the coin flip. And one point I just want to bring up, no one talks about what if the offense fumbles the opening kickoff. The other team starts on the other opponent's 20, chip shot field goal, game over. What if the offensive team fumbles, throws an interception, a pick six? This past Sunday, what if the number one ranked defense in the whole NFL makes one stop? But no one's talking about that. They're whining because of a coin flip. Is the rule fair? I don't know. They just played 60 minutes of football. But everyone wants to whine about the coin flip. It's not fair. It's not fair. Well, let me just tell you this. When Kansas City lost the coin flip to Tom Brady, and Tom Brady comes down and scores a touchdown, they win, and then they go on to win the Super Bowl. What did Kansas City do? They reached out to the NFL and says, hey, can we make some changes here? It's not fair. What'd the NFL do? Nothing. Zero zip. So maybe it's karma. I don't know. But enough of that. So today, let's bring on my co-host from the Palm Tree State himself, the one, the only, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Scotty, my brother, what's happening?
Morning, Jeff. Sounds like you're having an eventful, fun morning about some of the nuances and some of the fun things that happen in the sports world.
You know, I understand social media is a perfect place to bitch, whine, complain, whatever. And I get it. Okay. And you know something? I was on TikTok last night, and I saw a dozen videos of Buffalo fans at parties, at events, at gatherings, celebrating after the touchdown to go up, with 13 seconds left. And I can just imagine the pain and the misery that they went through. And then, of course, social media, just will not stop about the coin flip and how unfair it is. But no one wants to talk about the real facts here. Buffalo was the number one ranked defense in the whole NFL. You have all the numbers. You have the facts. And I stated, what happens if Kansas City fumbled the kickoff? What happens if Patty throws a pick six? What happens if Patty throws an interception? What happens if Buffalo makes one stop? I get it's unfair. But is it? They played 60 minutes. They tied. I don't get it. That's the rules. So I don't know if just whine and scream and all, the NFL's not going to do anything. It was put into place because of the length of time these guys just played. You're going to add more time. So they do a 10-minute quarter, and if it's tied after that, go to sudden death. Well, okay. So they're going to play 70 minutes because no one was stopping the offenses at that point. They were going to play 70 minutes. It was going to be tied. So either one of those two teams was going to take the shot and go for a 2-point conversion, or then it was going to go to a coin flip. And if that happened, then they'd still bitch, whine, and complain.
So I think all this is going to be kind of mute and interesting what if Kansas City didn't win? And now you got the Bengals, and the Bengals are going to end up playing, say, like the 49ers. So then nobody's even going to remember those games. So that's kind of how this kind of stuff works out. It's interesting kind of how these games all play out and everybody gets all hot and excited and all that stuff, and I get it. You don't like to see a quarterback play like Josh Allen played and then not win the game. But there's mistakes that were made and all of that stuff all the way around. But I'm not a millionaire coach, so I wasn't on the sideline at the moment that the games were going on, and that's not for me to judge. I'm just some guy that sits here and says, hey, this is what I think should happen, and that this is where the game flow should go, and this is what this should be, and that's what that should be, and I pretend like I'm one of those kind of guys, but I'm not one of those guys. So I'm not going to sit here and judge the different things that happened. I think that all of this could have been handled a lot differently, in a sense that the kickoff should have been not kicked out of the end zone. I think that it should have been where they ran off at least a couple of seconds, even if they had to, fair catch the ball wherever they went to retrieve the ball from. And if you were good and you practiced this kind of stuff as a team, you can kick the ball inside the 5-yard line as opposed to kicking the ball out of the end zone. So if you were to do that, they wouldn't do a fair catch from the 5-yard line. So then that means that they're going to at least have to run off a couple of seconds just on the kickoff. And then if you took a scenario where you said, I'm not going to let these guys beat me, and you jammed every receiver at the line of scrimmage, and you did this and did that or whatever, and made sure that they weren't going to get off the ball to get open and move the pass. Even if they took a penalty, you're going to run off more seconds, because you're not worried about the movement of the ball per se. You're worried about getting those 13 seconds off. And on the defensive side, how can you do that? Well, you can game plan that just as well as the offense is trying to do their thing. So that was number one. And then number two, they made mistakes in the Tampa Bay game too. I mean, how do you let Cooper Kupp get open at the very end of that game like he did, and they throw the ball down there and then they go down and kick a field goal? That's retarded. So there's a lot of things that happen in these games that you can go back and go hindsight's 2020 and all that stuff. But one thing you can't change is the rules. I mean, until you go and say, okay, well, we're going to change the rules. I just think that offenses are really good. And the game is designed for the offenses to be really good. And when you have elite quarterback play, like we saw in that game, I don't care what defense you put out there; they're not going to stop them. But what you can do is do what we just said. You can manage the game from an executive level and control it that way. So I find it interesting. I think that what I'm just looking at is kind of interesting. I'm looking at since week 10 of the NFL plus the playoffs. Mahomes now takes over as the leader in the league and quarterback, and followed by Burrow, and then followed by Rodgers, and then it's Allen. So Allen's had a great couple of games, and that's what's pushed him up since week 10 in the playoffs, and that's when you really want him to play well, is in the playoffs. But I don't know. I'm starting to think that nobody's given the Bengals enough credit for where they are and what they're doing. I'm looking at like defense, for example, and in that time frame, the Kansas City Chiefs ranked 9th, the Cincinnati Bengals ranked 10th, and everybody's talking about how good Kansas City's defense is and has been. Well, the Bengals are right there. I mean, they're right there with them. And then if you're talking about offense, the Chiefs are number 1 and the Bengals are number 6. It's not that far behind, but I will tell you that the gap between the Chiefs and everybody else is kind of big. So the Chiefs have been playing a dynamite level of offense compared to what everybody else is. It's basically the Chiefs and then Buffalo, Green Bay, like that. That kind of goes like that. So I kind of think that we'll see what happens in that game against the Bengals. I'm not ready to sit here and tell you that I think the Bengals are going to be competitive enough to win the game. And I'm not going to necessarily sit here and tell you that I'm going to be betting on the Bengals side yet. But I will tell you that I don't think that they're getting enough credit for where they are. And I get it. They're going to get sacked 5 times. And I get it, all that stuff. I already know that.
The first quarter or the first half?
I mean, you know what I'm saying. I know that's already coming. But they're overcoming those things because of how they play and what they do. And I guess they kind of understand that's what's going to happen. But it's just like everything else. They got 3 wide receivers that nobody can cover. So somebody's going to be open somewhere. And Burrow, all he has to do is have a good game and not make mistakes. And the interesting thing about the game that the Chiefs played was that Mahomes didn't throw a deep ball. He didn't throw a pass over 20 yards. And that doesn't happen in his world. And he didn't do it. And he nickeled and dimed and went down the field and was accurate and did everything required of him to move the football. And I think the Bills defense probably played the best way that they could play in that retrospect. And they still moved the ball down the field and scored the points. And it took miracles from Josh Allen to get to a point where the game was where it was in the first place. So whatever, it is what it is. And now we're on to this week.
And you talked about that. I mean, it wasn't Ben Roethlisberger or Brady in his prime dinking and dunking, but in the same token, like that Hardman touchdown, the walking tightrope in the sideline, Pringle made a few of those catches, and it's one of these, get these track stars into space in rhythm, and that one touchdown by Tyreek, you get him in. That's the thing. You throw it behind them, they got to slow down for a second. You catch these guys in stride, in open space, and it's like lights out. What came quickly to my head, Scott, and I'm being a little comical here, but 13 seconds left in that game. You talk about jamming the line, okay? What happens if at the snap the DBs just tackled every one of the wide receivers? So Mahomes is going to run 3 or 4 seconds off. He's going to have no one to throw. They're going to call the penalty. So now there's 9 seconds. And then they do it again. And now there's 4 seconds. Yeah, they get the ball on the 50, and he's got one Hail Mary.
Right. That's the whole point. That's what I was saying. I mean, it's take the penalties. Do what you need to do to win the game and outsmart the other team. And you only got 13 seconds. There's a whole bunch of things that went wrong in that game, and there's a bunch of things that went wrong with Tampa Bay when they with the amount of time that they had left in the game and in the scenarios that were going on there. You can't blitz the quarterback. That he's the guy that's been tearing up the league when he gets blitzed. And what do? They blitz the quarterback. So that means a safety has to cover the best wide receiver that they have, and probably one of the best wide receivers in all football. And what happens? He gets burned deep, and there's he lays the ball out there, and it goes down there, and he's right down there to kick a field goal to win the game. Those are mistakes that these multimillionaire coaches make. Obviously, they have multi-million-dollar a year players and tools and assets that they think are going to help them, so they put them in those positions to make those plays. But I don't think some of this stuff makes any sense. I think that those are both games that should have one should have been won by Buffalo. The other one should have went into overtime, and then see what happens. But I mean, and then as we're talking about this overtime shit, they'll flip the coin. Who's going to win? No, I'm just kidding. But that's kind of the way this stuff goes. Is I think in the heat of the moment of things, the retrospective of what you should do goes kind of out the window because you're just playing in, okay, well, this is what I got to do. This is what I got to do. And then that's not really the big picture way of thinking about it.
And I'm just going to add this something again no one talks about is I think a lot of people think that the way to get around this is to guarantee each team at least one possession. Now, here's where I say that's wrong, because let's just say the opponent that gets the ball first kicks a field goal. Okay. The opponent now has the ball. They know they need at least a field goal to tie, touchdown to win. Well, now they have 4 plays to get 10 yards and move the sticks. Correct or incorrect? It's not 3. The first
Well, they're not going to punt.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The first team that receives the ball, right? So if they go down and score a field goal, fine. If they go down and score a touchdown, fine. If they punt, then the team receiving the ball now knows, okay, I either field goal, I win, touchdown to tie. My point is is the fact that they now, it's not 3 downs to get a first down. It's 4 downs to get a first down. So that changes the mentality of the drive. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying here. In other words, you got to score a field goal. Kansas City comes down, scores a field goal. Okay. So it's not 3 downs to get 10 yards. It's 4 downs to get 10 yards. So
no, I get it.
So the team that receives the ball second now even has another advantage that not a lot of people are talking about. You already know what you have to do. Period. End of discussion. And you're getting 4 downs to do it. Now, if the other team doesn't score and you get the ball and it's 3rd and 18 and you don't get the first down, you're punting, and now it's sudden death at that point. But the fact of the matter is the team that you want to grant automatically to get the ball has an advantage there because now they got 4 downs to make a first down and they already know what they have to do.
Yeah, I think this all came from the idea that, if you're going to play overtime and you're going to go, here's a 10-minute quarter and you're going to play the whole quarter, what's the guarantee that they're going to end and not in a tie at the end of that quarter? I mean, what if somebody goes and scores 7 and the other team goes down and scores 7? And then what do you do? So I think that this is sort of a combination of, okay, we're going to give both teams the opportunity. Somebody's got to make a stop. If somebody goes down and scores a touchdown, the game's over. If you go down and kick a field goal, well, the other team's going to have an opportunity to come down and kick a field goal, which means that then you don't have to, it's a one offense goes down at the end of the half at the quarter that are in overtime, that at least they have to score a touchdown, meaning that they don't just drive down to the 35-yard line and then kick a long field goal and win the game. So and then that gives the other team the opportunity to do the same thing and keep the game going. So there's got to be some sort of a way to end the game without it being in a tie, because it's not going to be in a tie in a game like this. So if you play a 10-minute quarter, and how does that play out? So I think this is sort of the best of both worlds, the way that this sort of setup is, and then I think that at the same time, we sit here and think these guys are just guys that can go out and play, and I mean, I get it. Have you ever went and watched a damn football game? I mean, it's a car wreck on every play, and these guys. I mean, it's amazing what they put their body through, and then we're asking them to go do on an overtime more and more and more. You guys are crazy. I mean, it's just crazy.
And I'm going to close this. We've already taken up 20 minutes on a game that happened on Sunday. And that was one of the nuggets that I was talking about with San Francisco, playing in 0-degree weather for 60 minutes. And Debo gets nicked up. He should be okay. Kittle, same thing. How quick does that body and their bodies now recover? Again, this is their 4th straight road game. They ended the season at LA. They go to Dallas, then they go to Tampa, and now they're heading back to LA. And again, I know San Fran to LA is a hop, skip, and a jump, but The fact of the matter is the wear and tear on these bodies. And I can't even imagine what those guys felt like Monday morning when they got up after playing, 60 minutes in the frozen tundra. But all right, secondly, I have to get this off my chest. All ECSI VIP members, okay, might be a day or two of mental health days, I'm calling them. Last night here on the Breakfast Bankroll, last night here on the Closing Bell. On my timeline yesterday, we talked about the game that we released, Northeastern and NC Wilmington, a game that made absolute zero sense. An NC Wilmington team coming in at 12-5, I think it was, winners of 8 in a row, 5-0 in conference against a Northeastern team that was 6-12, losers of 7 in a row, yet they were favored by 3, closed at 2.5. We took the money line minus 135. Flashes of hope. Northeastern up 12 in the first half, up 8 in the first half, up 2, I think, or 3 at halftime. Now, next thing you know, they're down. Long story short, 65-64, 49 seconds left, and they get outscored 9-4 and lose by 6. For the bazillionth time, as I said on my timeline, we just cannot close out a game in the final 30 seconds, the final minute. We're right there. Usually these things even out, and we've just been the fire hydrant more often than not instead of the dog. And so I'll be sending out an alert later today. I think everyone needs a day or two off. We're going to keep rolling here, of course. Heading up to Stores to see Georgetown and UConn tonight, 8:30 on Fox. I'm going to do my best to get out a closing bell with myself and Scott live from Stores as well. But I just wanted to get that off my chest here. The square peg round hole. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same things over and over and expecting different results. I don't know. I'm running out of cliches. I don't know what to say at this point. I didn't even know what to say. So what did I do? I called Scotty at 10 o'clock last night. And I'm like, what the bleep is going on? Frustrating, Scott. Very frustrating.
Yeah, well, so this comes down to a couple of things, and it comes down to how you read the board and what you're reading off the board, and how your analyzation of that goes, and then again, these are college basketball. These kids are kids, man. I mean, they're 19, 20-year-old kids that we're betting on. And again, anything can happen in these games. And it's hard because the consistency level at that level of play is way different than the consistency level at a professional league. So a lot of things are going to happen. So one thing to keep in mind is the consistency in which you look at the board is got to stay the same. And so in this particular case, you were looking at a spot and you were reading in that, hey, the sports book put out a line, and the sports book put out the line because there's a reason why this team's favored when they shouldn't be favored. And then they know something that's going to happen in this game. So you're playing on the idea that that's what's going on. And then at the beginning of the game, it looked like that was the case. And then as it went on down the line, that didn't happen. But you're going to make that same decision 100% of the time. So if you're going to make that decision 100% of the time, so what? I live with it, and we move on and we go on down the road. Because that kind of stuff happens. And that's how you read the board, and that's what you saw, and that's how you've been successful in this business. So there's nothing wrong with what you did, and it just didn't work out. So, and then that's just the way it is. So there's an NBA game last night, right? I think there's about 8 million people on Chicago last night because they were playing against Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma City sucks, blah 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 blah, right? So it comes down to the wire, right? And I'm on this game. I'm on the under in this game, and I'm shaking down to the last seconds of the game, still being under, and with I think there was 1 second or something like that.
3.
Yeah, there you go. Well, in my case, there was 1 second to go in the game, and the free throw goes in, and it makes it 218 on a spread of 217 and a half or 217 or whatever it was. So I went over the number by that free throw, and then so what that made the score. I think it was 111 to 107 or something like that.
Correct.
And then the guy just takes the ball with like, I don't know, you said 0.3 seconds left on the ball, throws up the shot, and the 3-pointer goes in. Meaningless 3-pointer, right? Because the line was Chicago -2. And with Chicago -2, now they win by 1, and everybody goes, holy shit, I just lost my cookies. So, stuff happens all over the place, and the NBA is famous for that stupid stuff. But whatever. I mean, I still stand by what I do, and I still stand by. And I lost that game by that one. Well, it turns out to be now 221 instead of 218, and I had them under 217. So it is what it is. When you get a competitive game at the end, it really sucks for an under bet, because people are going to foul, and they're going to go to the free throw line and try to do whatever they can, and then there's a lot of scoring going on with no time off the clock.
And to add insult to injury on my side, 2 hockey plays on the desk. Talked to a few of our clients that reached out to us. The Vegas was like plus 128 on the money line. At Washington, they win 1-0. And then Calgary, there was like a 35-cent move. Again, I'm not going to play a minus 165, but on the puck line, they were plus 160, 158, something stupid like that. And I think they won 8-2 or something. And again, talking to some clients that do the same things that we do, they got 5 games on the board. And again, I talked to you about this last night. 5 games that they liked on the board. They play 2, go 0-2, and the 3 on the desk, of course, go 3-0. And I said, welcome to my world. And I always talk about the spaghetti strainer. Again, we're not an action service. We're not going to release 5, 8, 10 games a night. It's just not what we do. I try to explain to a couple people this. If that's what you're looking for, if that's what you want to do, if that's how you're seeing the board, you just got to cut your prices down. So, for instance, if you're a dollar player, what's the difference of playing 3 games for minus 110? So you're investing 330 versus 5 games at 50. It's basically the same thing. If you want to stick with your eyes and what you're seeing on the board, I don't suggest you to play 5 games for $100 a whack here. Cut the number down. Cut it down to $50 a play. Stick with your eyes. Stick with your plays. Because if your eyes are seeing 5 plays and you're only playing 2, well, Murphy's Law. That's generally what happens. Unfortunately, is 3 win, 2 lose. That's just the name of the game. You do have 5 and 0s, 4 and 1s. You also do have 1 and 4s and 0 and 5s. So you just got to be consistent. And I've been talking about consistency here till we're blue in the face. So today's board, Scotty, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 NBA games, and there are a boatload of college games. I'm going to give you the stage right here now and tell us what you're seeing in NBA, if you're seeing anything at all.
Yeah, I've got a couple of games that I'm watching and kind of liking at this point. Well, one of them is Charlotte today. I don't mind Charlotte. Charlotte's playing on the road against Toronto. They're at a +3 number, but I do like Charlotte in this spot. Toronto's a team that has been scoring about 100 points a game, and they don't necessarily bode well at home. So, and Charlotte's been on a run. So I kind of like the idea that Charlotte's been better in the last 5 games they played, and even when you look at the home and away splits types numbers for the whole season, they're better. So this game with Toronto being -3 is one of those spots where I kind of like Charlotte here. So I'm kind of waiting to see what happens with the number. But I'm and it looks like it's up to say 3.5 now. So people are betting on Toronto. So I'm good with that. And the other game that I'm watching right now is Minnesota playing Portland. Portland's been a little bit better here. McCollum's come back. When McCollum came back, they've started winning some games. They're actually 6-2 in their last 8 games. But Minnesota is -3. I got them at a point where I think they should be -5. But I also look at it from a level of Portland has played about a middle of the road type schedule in the last 5 games, 14th ranked opponents that they've played, and Minnesota's played some tough teams. They're 4th, and even though they're 4th, and looking at it from the level of who they've been playing, they've been beating the crap out of these teams. So they've been scoring a lot of points. Of course, their defense hasn't been good, but Portland's defense isn't good anyway. So I kind of like the idea that I can get Minnesota on a short number and probably have a stretch here to where they win by 6 or 7, something like that. And I kind of like the idea that I'm getting points with Charlotte, and I think Charlotte can beat Toronto tonight. I am watching a couple other games. One that I'm interested in that I'm watching right now is the Clippers. I think the Clippers against Washington. Washington has lost 3 games, and they've lost 3 home games. And there's a strength of schedule edge here for the Clippers too. So kind of like the idea that the Clippers are getting 4 points. I have it where they should only be getting 2 points. But I want to see, and it's already up to -5 now. So people are betting against the Clippers. I don't think people like the Clippers that well. So I kind of like that one. And the other one that I'm interested in, and this is I don't like betting on Brooklyn at home, but I don't mind betting on them on the road. And people are betting on them tonight against the Lakers. The Lakers were -3. Now it's down to -2.5. And I think that number is going to go lower. But there's a possibility, and I think probably a good likelihood, Anthony Davis plays for the Lakers tonight. So if Anthony Davis plays for the Lakers tonight, I think that you're going to find that the Harden-led Nets without Kyrie Irving, because he doesn't play home games, and Kevin Durant, I think that's going to put the Lakers in a good spot.
How in holy hell, double hockey sticks, is the Los Angeles Lakers favored over Brooklyn? I don't care there's no KD. I don't care there's no Kyrie. How?
Yeah, I don't have it that way. I have it where Brooklyn is the favorite. My numbers come out. Brooklyn should be favored by 6 at home. But if you look at it from the home and away type number, I really have it. Brooklyn should only be favored by 1. And what that means is that Brooklyn's played a lot of away games here, and because they played away games, they've had their better talent on the floor. And now that they're going to be back home, they're going to be having no Kyrie Irving. So that to me makes a pretty strong difference here. I think you're going to see the Lakers with AD do pretty well with nobody there to defend him.
It's just such an ugly team, Scott. Something happened to Wager Talk. Maybe their feed or something went down.
I just saw that.
So I'm bringing up Don Best now. It just that is alarming. I mean, the Lakers shouldn't be favored over my YMCA team locally. That's just so how bad they're playing. What's going on with Russ, whatever. But I mean, that's okay. So you talked about the Northeastern game. We did. We talked about Memphis last week. Okay. So here, just on the eyes and the alarm bells, go run to the window and bet the Lakers tonight. I mean, that is shocking that they have them favored. I'm sorry. And I know it's the NBA, and guys, I always talk about the NBA, the halftime call, the end of the third quarter call. Okay. I am just saying that is alarming. The Lakers are 2.5-point favorites in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, the issue here is um, so if Anthony Davis is playing and you got Westbrook and you got LeBron James playing, the lineup for Brooklyn's going to be James Harden, Patty Mills, and that's who's going to have to play. And then they got the substitute guys that are going to come in for Kevin Durant. And the center is a game time decision tonight with Nicholas Claxton. So this is not a strong Brooklyn Nets lineup tonight, and this could be the best Laker lineup that they've had in a while.
All right, I'm going to try to shoot down some quick college games here. Let me take a look at the board here, see if something's jumping. There was a flip in the Rhode Island Richmond game. The first one on the board at 6:30, rotation number 603, 604. Rhodey did open up 1-point favorites, and now Richmond is a 1-point favorite. So there was a flip there. Bama, 14.5-point favorites at Georgia, an ugly, putrid Georgia team this year. A lot of points to be laying with an Alabama team on the road, but it is justified there. DePaul's been scrappy. 10-8 versus an 14-5 Villanova team. 17, now 18-17. Big number there. DePaul at Villanova. Let's see what else I can pull up. A nice game. Rotation number 619, 620, 7 o'clock stop. Michigan State at Illinois. Michigan State, nice dog winner. Last weekend, we were talking about that game. And in they come here. Computer model, Ian opening number is 6. The public saw 4.5. They push it to 5. There are some 5.5 and 6. I'd say by game time, Michigan State will be the public trendy dog there. The game below it, 621, 622, Missouri State at Indiana State. I want to say this, okay? Missouri State got us good over the weekend. We had their rivals, Illinois, Chicago, Loyola. They were 6.5-point favorites and up 2 at halftime, and Missouri State blew them out in the second half. Now you got Missouri State here, 6-point favorites at a tough Indiana State team. So, with that said, do I expect a letdown? I kind of sort of do initially. I think Indiana State can actually play well here. Now, superior team Missouri State, and I'm not telling you Indiana State's going to win this game, but I will tell you the public will be all in on this Missouri State team. So just keep an eye on Indiana State tonight. That's all. Cincinnati at Temple. Again, Cincinnati playing better, a bad Temple team. I think Temple will be the contrarian side there. You're going to be catching 3.5. It's 3.5, which straight across the Vegas Strip. 95% of the bets already coming in on Cincinnati. Keep an eye on Temple. Clemson and Duke, 11.5. I think that number looks low. I think they're trying to entice you to grab the Blue Devils minus the 11.5 there. There's Maryland Twerps at Rutgers today. Opened at 2.5, now 3, now 3.5. Rutgers at Minnesota on Saturday, and it was kind of comical. Minnesota, one of their best players, out. Minnesota goes from -2 to +3.5. Actually, Rutgers went off at -4 at tip-off. Minnesota wins in a barn burner. So everyone expecting Rutgers to bounce back at home. Again, that Maryland team is Jekyll and Hyde. We know about them with us. So it was strong pass there. Syracuse at Pitt. This has always been a dog series. The road team seems to cover. But look at this. They have favorites at Pittsburgh. So 9-10 versus 7-12. Two teams going nowhere. I think Pittsburgh can keep that one close. And I will be at this game 8:30 tonight, 6:47, 6:48, Georgetown at UConn. A Georgetown team that's really struggling. Pat's got some players that are just not playing well. A UConn team that is 13-4, 3 scorers, all averaging 14 plus points a game. This team's going to be dangerous come tournament time. I would not want them in your bracket. I think they get to the second weekend there. But again, a 15 and a half point number. I couldn't touch that, Scotty, with your money. And last but not least, the number 1 team in the land, the Auburn Tigers, with the number 1 player, freshman sensation, Jabari Smith. ECSI VIPs got them at 18-1 to win it all there. 13 and a half favored at Missouri. Missouri was good to us 10 days ago. They were 8-point underdogs on the road, and they won by 25 straight outright. So I keep an eye on that one there. So that's it from me for now. Let me just scroll down one little quick thing. I want to see if I can grab some hockey for everyone. 11 o'clock, great game. Arizona at UCLA, guys. 11 o'clock. If you want to watch that one, grab a nap this afternoon. Arizona opened at 3, now 3.5. This team is loaded as well. If you can grab a 15, 16, 17-1 right now on Arizona, I think I would throw that a little pizza and beer money there. This team is loaded. But you're getting great value with UCLA at home. It'll be interesting to see which way this number goes. Myself and Scott will have that answer for you at 4:30 tonight at the closing bell. Some quick hockey looks. Scott, you can bet the Penguins tonight minus 465 against Arizona if you'd like.
Yeah, I pass.
Little reverse line movement here. Edmonton at Vancouver. Edmonton opened up at 135, now 130 at Vancouver. Nice little home dog there to keep an eye on. That's about it for now. Vegas on a back-to-back. They beat Washington last night. 25-15 now. Travel to Carolina at 27-9. Carolina opened at 175, now 194, 195. Nice price on Vegas. I know a couple of years ago they came back east and they just went on like an 8-0-1 run or something like that. So keep an eye on the price on Vegas. I know it's back-to-backs, but they just beat the Capitals at a nice dog, and they definitely at plus 175 are worth the peak as well. Scotty, wrap it up, brother.
Yeah, I think that don't get too worked up over certain things, and I think that the goals here are to study and do your homework. Stay positive minded. I mean, this is a business where you're going to lose, and you're going to lose a lot. You just got to win a little bit more than you lose, and you're making money. So the idea here is to go ahead and vent or do whatever you have to do to get your frustrations out. But once it's gone, it's gone. Leave it in the past, and find some inspiration. Do some things that clear your mind, because the perspective in which you view these games is also going to askew the perspective in which you make bets. And if your perspective is in bad form, your betting is going to be in bad form. So it's imperative that your head be clear, and that you come into these games and understand that one loss isn't going to be the end of my week. One loss isn't going to make the end of my month, and all of that stuff. And even if you string a couple of them together, then it is what it is. But be consistent in what you do. Have conviction when you go to the window, and do yourself a favor and find inspiration anywhere you can that keeps your head clear of all the bullshit that goes on around it.
I couldn't have said that better. The hard part for me in this business is again, and you kind of nailed it. The fact of the matter is we're going to read the board the same that we do every time. Yeah, we add, we subtract, we'll bring on a new company. We like what they're doing, their spreadsheet, versus maybe some other companies are getting lazy and lackadaisical, and we don't have time for that. But we see the board the way we do. And so for instance, again, that Laker game in Brooklyn, again, we don't do a lot of NBA games. We pick our spots there. But right there is alarm bells. Alarm bells. I mean, again, I'd play Lakers money line. They know something. What the hell's going on? I'm going to sit and watch it. Well, I won't watch it. Trust me. But my point is, that's how we read the market. Obviously, there's a lot of data and analysis around the clock that goes through it. But the frustrating part is when you can start to feel the frustration from others. And imagine going to bed every night, with 200 plus people on your shoulders. And you wake up in the morning. Oh, it's so good when you wake up after a 3-0 night, or it's so good after a nice 9-1 week. Man, you feel so good. The birds are chirping, the roses are blooming, and then when you have, back-to-back weeks where you're losing 3.5 units, the birds aren't chirping, and it's 0 degrees out with a potential blizzard coming this weekend. There's some maps that are saying it's going out to sea. There's some other maps that are saying, Scott, we could get 2 feet of snow here on Saturday and Sunday. So the point of the matter is, like the market, like sports, life changes that quick, so you have to keep it in perspective. Every day is a new day. Okay. You have 24 hours to make a difference. That's it. It's a gift. Every day you wake up in the morning and your feet hit the ground, it's a gift. And that's why they call it the present. And that's what we try to do. Forget about yesterday. Yesterday's history. Tomorrow's a mystery. Today's a gift. That's why they call it the present. So with that, if you are wagering today, please wager and invest responsibly. If you have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number. Ask for help. Why? Because we care. We want you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports and Press, my co-host, my partner, Scotty Webb at Webby20MLB. We wish you a blessed day. Have a good day, please. And myself and Scotty will catch you at 4:30 for the closing bell. See you soon.